Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all over the world. Dobson777A here. Yeah, I thought every once in a while I ought to highlight comments that catch my eye. This just cracked me up. I sent this to my new girlfriend and she was like, she thought it was hilarious. But anyways, I appreciate this Maximum Tune. So this is going to be something different. Got to learn the likes and dislikes of somebody different, and same for her, for me. It's always fun to try to do this, so we're starting that process. But yeah, I mean, I don't think she could hurt a fly. She's the sweetest thing. I probably will have her in a couple videos here soon, but I want to make sure she's comfortable with it so that you can see her in action. We got a lot of gardening to do and everything, and she seems like she's very interested in that, so I thought you'd enjoy that. Now at the end of this video, I'm going to show you my recipe for stuffed bell peppers. And it's nothing fancy, but if you have a garden, sometimes you end up with a whole pile of these things, and you know, they don't last a long time. And you know, I use them in some stews and salads and stuff, but occasionally I end up with where I just hadn't picked them in a long time, and that's why I ended up with some different colored ones, which is really pretty. So watch towards the end of this. I'll show you step by step everything that you need to know to do this. And I mean, you can use stuff from the store too. It works fine. Just go get, I think I had maybe a dozen of these, and they're all different sizes, and it doesn't matter. They work just fine. I wanted to also show you my eggplant. I actually had two more large ones that were left over from last week that go on top of this, but this bucket's overflowing with eggplant, and this is a 5-gallon bucket, so it shows you how big these things are. And then I also get all kinds of jalapenos. I even have a bunch of Tabasco peppers I need to go pick. I probably have a quart of Tabasco peppers that I need to get picked. So just a lot of stuff coming out right now, and I filled up a half-a-gallon container where I cut up all these jalapenos and refilled my, it's like my nachos container that I put all of my cut up jalapenos, and I just scoop a few out each time I'm doing nachos. So that's kind of like my little snack in the middle of the day if I need something. So let's hit a little bit of news and then we'll go into the recipe. But it's been a while since I've done some videos, but I've covered a couple of these where we have some clear espionage type stuff that's been going on in our universities. These professors have been bought and paid for by China, and it's slowly being uncovered. And there was another case here where a UCLA researcher was identified of actually destroying evidence as they were probing his involvement. So keep an eye on this, because this has been really big news. You don't necessarily see it on the mainstream media, but I've been picking it up on channels like this, like Zero Hedge. Now, for the last several years, the Southwest has been struggling with a lack of rain. And this is kind of like a periodic, I don't know, once a century type thing. It happens, and it could last for like a decade or more. I first noticed it where my son was living in Lemoore, California. They were struggling because the water levels had dropped so much. But remember, these clowns in California, they had, you know, like let a lot of the water from their reservoirs and everything go out to the sea because of some damn minnow or something. And so all of these farmers were having to drill wells way deeper than they had previously, and you know, that doesn't last forever either. So this has been going on for a while. Some of it's mismanagement, but in other cases there's some things where they're showing just the severe drought that they're in this area here, and that's a problem, folks. In some areas, like last year, this middle of the country around the Mississippi, we had excess rain and we couldn't plant crops and everything, and now it's kind of like over here, we're in a major drought area. So this is problematic for, you know, where you got lots of people, you may not have enough water. Now this was really interesting. We've talked about people working from home, but this is unintended consequences. A lot of these businesses are presumed that they may not ever open back up. They're going to wait till their leases are over and they're just going to close shop and let everybody work from home. They've been trying it out and they found, guess what? They can save a ton of money. But the biggest problem is think about the corporate buildings that are being rented pretty high dollar in these main areas, and think about all the supporting restaurants. And I think I've already told you locally here, dry cleaners going out of business because people don't need to have all their clothes nice. And I mean, I used a dry cleaner for decades for my work. It was so much less expensive and time consuming to just take them in, have them all pressed, and have the wife ironing them and everything. So I had been doing that for years. I have not done it now for several years because I've been retired. But think about these cities, especially with the draconian things that have been going on by the mayors and stuff. So the people are like, screw it, we're out of here. And the businesses, they're going to be exiting. So this is amazing when you think about it. These cities are going to die. Now, this is massive here. Trump is going to invest $1 billion in quantum computing. And it's coming, folks. This is moving into prime time. There's a lot of different things they can use this for, but you need to be aware that they're sinking tons of money into this. So there's a nice article here. You probably should read it. We're trying to keep ahead of everybody else. They say we continue to lead, but I've seen some significant advances in China, what they've been doing. So we'll just have to see how this shakes out. I don't know that this is good for us. The lowly folks, it's probably good for national security and everything else, but this is potentially going to be our overlords.
All right, so yesterday I was out in the garden and I hadn't been out there as much as I should, but I pulled out a whole bunch of bell peppers. So today I thought I'd make some stuffed bell peppers, because when you get a bunch like this, they don't last very long. And yet I can stuff them and then, I get a couple more days out of them. And it's actually a really good meal. So I've got some homemade sausage that I made a couple months ago. You guys probably remember when I went through that exercise, I used a mixture of pork, ground up pork, and some of my rabbit. And it actually came out very close with the seasoning that I bought. Tastes a lot like Jimmy Dean sausage. So I'm going to do probably a little bit of rice, mix that with the sausage and cheese, and this ought to be fantastic. The other thing that I did is I've been filling up some pickle jars and things with jalapenos. Now this was a jalapeno jar that I've been using for years now, and I just put some fresh vinegar and seasoning and stuff in there and put my fresh jalapenos. But you can see I wasn't on Johnny on the spot getting my jalapenos, so I have a bunch of red ones. And I think those are going to be much hotter than these regular green ones. But I do a lot of these for my nachos. I like eating some nachos. And here's some leftover jalapenos I still have and a few tomatoes. And look what I've got. I've overfilled another 5-gallon bucket of eggplant. So I'm going to be making a bunch of eggplant parmesan tomorrow. I probably should not plant nearly as much eggplant like I did this year. It's amazing how much eggplant these things put out. I did a fantastic job. So I love eggplant parmesan. I've been eating that like crazy, and it feels like you're eating a meat dish, but you're not. It's very healthy. So I'm still at it. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is kind of core out these bell peppers, and I'm going to set them on a baking tray. And then I'm trying to defrost some of the sausage that I made. I've just got a sausage roll in here. It's probably about 2 pounds. So I'm going to defrost that. And some of it I may end up making into sausage patties, because I love sausage biscuits with, and it's gluten-free bread that I use, but I like sausage with grape jelly. It's fantastic. All right, well, I just thought you'd like to see what I'm doing today. I'm going to start doing some more videos now. I should have some time, and I'm healed up, and so I wanted you to, have some extra features. All right, so I've cored out my bell peppers here. I don't know, I got 15, 16, 17, something like that, and they're all different sizes. And the simplest thing to do, by the way, is just get you a pan like this, and then you take the bell pepper and you just kind of cut out that top part, and then you can just bang it on the side, and it keeps it nice and clean just using a bowl like this. So that's what I did. And then I'm going to have just kind of like 3 small onions that I'm going to dice up, and I'm going to fry them up along with some of the sausage. And then I'm also going to make a half a cup of rice, just as a little filler. And it's just, I mean, this is, if you read about stuffed bell peppers, this is kind of like one of the things they do. But normally I take a couple jalapenos, and I still may do that. I may cut up some pieces just to give it a little kick, but that's not necessary. I just, you can also use sriracha sauce. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Let me show you. This is a basic condiment for me, kind of like some people use ketchup. I love this stuff. This is like ready to go. You don't have to cut up any jalapenos or anything, so you can just mix a little bit of that in, and it'll give it the spice. And so anyways, just a couple ideas for you. All right, so I took 3 relatively small onions, and it's a mixture of some of the purple and white onions that I grew. I also have some yellow, but you know, these have a little bit more bite to them, but the purple ones do. But when you kind of cook them down, this is supposed to be very flavorful with the bell peppers and everything. So this is a perfect thing. I usually use the purple onions for salads and things, but you can kind of do everything. And then I took 2 smaller jalapenos. Man, I don't know why my voice is messed up, but I'm going to try just two small ones. And by the time I add all the sausage and I add the rice and everything, hopefully it's not too spicy. But that's kind of the main recipe here. So I'm going to get this into the pan, get this kind of sauteing up. And all right, so my rice recipe is pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 1/3 cups of water, 2 chicken bouillon cubes, and then I'm going to use 1 cup of rice. And it takes about 20 minutes once everything's put together and put on a light boil. And then here's my sausage. I decided to go ahead and do the sausage first because that's going to release some grease that I can do the onions and everything with. But I usually drain everything off as much as I can because I can't tolerate a lot of grease. So this is just getting started, and then it's just a simple thing. We just combine everything together and then stuff the peppers, throw them in the oven with some cheese. I forgot I got to get the cheese out. I've got some mozzarella, Parmesan, but I also have some Mexican cheese. I may end up just using Mexican cheese for this. I wish you could smell this because this smells amazing with the sausage, onions, and peppers all together. So I've got to kind of get this going, and about the same time, you know, I've got the rice cooking over here, and then it's just kind of going to go all together, and I'm going to stuff the peppers with some cheese. That's how simple this recipe is. You really don't need any seasoning or anything because the sausage already has that, and you know the cheese is going to give it a nice flavor. But this is about as extensive as you need to make it. It doesn't have to be very fancy. It's going to be a fantastic meal, though. Boy, this is going to be a great lunch. Just in time for lunch too. About 10:30. I'll be eating about 11. Okay, this is my sausage, onions, rice, and a few jalapenos mixed in here. And now what I've done is I put a little bit of mozzarella in the bottom of each of these. And I'm going to go ahead and stuff the sausage, rice, onion, jalapeno combo in there. And then I'm just going to put a little mozzarella on the top. But again, you can use Mexican cheese. You can use whatever you like. I just happen to have a small bag left of this, and I thought I'll go ahead and use it up. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, I didn't have enough mozzarella to do all of these. It actually used a lot of the sausage, so there's a little snack for me, and the cheese that overflowed, I kind of did it over that. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the oven now. And everything's already cooked. Except for the bell peppers, we're just going to kind of put it in there for 15, 20 minutes probably max. Get the cheese melted, and we're going to have an amazing snack here. That's actually a lot of bell peppers. This will be several meals as a little side dish, and not a lot of preparation. This is the Mexican cheese I was talking about. All right, so anyways, in the oven we go. All right, so there's the finished product, and I'm about ready to eat some. I just finished eating all the leftovers that I couldn't stuff in the pepper, so now I'm going to try a pepper with stuffed either mozzarella or Mexican cheese, but it's all of the sausage, onions, rice, and jalapenos, which, by the way, that the leftover stuff that was not stuffed, that was pretty spicy with 2 small jalapenos. My jalapenos are super hot this year. I'm not exactly sure why, but they're way beyond the pale of what I've had in the past, so I got to be really careful. All right, so I'm going to go to town on this now.
I hope everybody's treating you well. I hope you're doing well. Do the best you can. God bless.